The wind slammed against the frozen cabin like a furious storm trying to tear the world apart, and inside that small wooden room sat two strangers whose lives could not have been more different. The cold crept through the cracks in the walls, the fire struggled to stay alive, and silence hung heavy between them. A tired single father with rough hands and quiet pain in his eyes sat on one side of the bed, while across from him sat one of the most powerful women in the country, a CEO feared by boardrooms and billionaires alike. Yet in that moment, titles, wealth, and pride meant nothing, because the storm outside had trapped them together, and the fragile whisper she would soon speak would change both their lives forever. Before the story unfolds, if you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. The cabin had originally been meant as a quiet retreat for Evelyn Carter, a woman known across the business world for her ruthless decisions and unshakable authority. At 36, she had built an empire that most people only dreamed about, but power came with a heavy price. Long nights, endless meetings, and a reputation that made people fear her more than they respected her. She rarely allowed anyone to see the loneliness hidden beneath her polished image. Daniel Brooks, on the other hand, lived a life far removed from luxury. At 32, he was a single father raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily after losing his wife years earlier. His life was a constant balancing act, long work hours, school pickups, cooking dinners, and trying to be both mother and father to the little girl who depended on him. He had taken a small job maintaining cabins in the mountains during winter. Hopping the extra money would help pay for Lily's school supplies and rent. That day, the storm had arrived faster than anyone expected. Evelyn had driven up to the mountain property seeking solitude, but the road became impossible to navigate. Daniel had been sent to check the heating system in the cabin when the blizzard suddenly swallowed the forest. The roads disappeared beneath thick ice, the phone signals vanished, and the temperature dropped with terrifying speed. Now they were stuck. At first, the silence between them was stiff and uncomfortable. Evelyn sat upright, wrapped in a blanket, her posture still carrying the confidence of a boardroom leader even in this remote place. Daniel kept his distance, feeding small pieces of wood into the fire while glancing outside through the frosted window. The storm roared like an endless monster beyond the walls. Hours passed slowly. The firelight flickered across Evelyn's face, revealing something Daniel had not expected: exhaustion. Not the kind that came from physical labor, but the deeper kind that came from carrying too much alone. She looked less like a powerful executive and more like someone who had forgotten what peace felt like. Daniel, despite his own worries, tried to keep the cabin warm and calm. He boiled water for tea using the small stove and shared the last pieces of bread he had packed earlier that day. His kindness was simple, quiet, and genuine. As the night grew colder, the storm intensified. The wind howled so loudly it sounded as if the mountains themselves were crying. Evelyn stared at the fire for a long time, her usual composure slowly fading. Daniel noticed her hands trembling, not from the cold, but from something deeper. In that lonely cabin, stripped of titles and expectations, the truth slowly surfaced. Daniel thought about Lily waiting at home with their neighbor. He imagined her small face looking out the window, hoping her father would come back soon. The thought tightened his chest, but he kept calm, reminding himself that panic would not help either of them survive the night. Evelyn watched him quietly. She had spent years surrounded by powerful people, yet she had rarely seen such quiet strength. Daniel did not complain. He did not boast. He simply did what needed to be done. The fire crackled softly as the hours slipped by. Then something unexpected happened. Evelyn's strong, confident mask finally broke. Her voice came out as a soft whisper, barely louder than the wind scratching against the cabin walls. She admitted that despite all her success, she had never truly felt at peace. She had spent years chasing achievements, believing power would fill the empty spaces in her life. But sitting in that frozen cabin, watching a man who had lost so much yet still carried kindness in his heart, she realized something painful. She had built an empire, but she had forgotten how to live. That quiet confession hung in the air like a fragile truth. Daniel did not judge her. Instead, he spoke about Lily, the little girl who gave his life purpose even during the darkest moments. He explained how every small smile from his daughter reminded him that love mattered more than anything money could buy. The warmth of that simple truth slowly changed the atmosphere in the room. For the first time in years, Evelyn felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. The storm eventually weakened as dawn approached. Pale light slipped through the icy windows, revealing a calm forest buried beneath deep snow. The nightmare night had finally passed. Rescuers arrived later